In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Lock and load. It's time to load up on some intellectual ammunition with Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. It doesn't matter if you learn to shoot with Daniel Boone or you're brand new. You're welcome here. This is the original national talk show about guns, and Tom Gresham is your guide through the maze of ballistics and politics. So grab your phone and call in right now, 866-825-5486, or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
All right. Just give me a holler, 866-TALK-GUN. It's very easy. Or just, you know what? It's even easier to do it this way. Just dial Tom, what's number 1, and then Tom Talk Gun. Or if you're on a cell phone, you don't even have to do the number 1. See, I'm saving you digits all the time. By the way, I'm Tom Gresham. If you want to shoot me an email, it's tom@guntalk.com. On Twitter, where we have conversation going even right now, I'm at Gun Talk. Come over there. You can share the joy and the love, having a bunch of fun. But, honestly, the most fun way to talk about guns is to call me and let's just talk about guns. If you've got a gun that you want to give me a range report on, we'd love to get those. Find out what you're seeing. Ammo still available, not available, where'd it go? We'd love to get those reports. And also, kind of your take on people you talk to. It is always interesting to me to run into somebody who says, I'm a gun owner, but... Ran into a guy like that last Friday. Well, I'm a gun owner, but we should require whatever. Well, I believe in the Second Amendment, but. Well, you know what? If you believe in the Second Amendment and you throw a but in, what that tells me is I don't believe in the Second Amendment. You also know that what you're dealing with when you read somewhere and somebody writes, well, the Second Amendment allows. No, it doesn't. Or the Second Amendment grants. No, it doesn't. The Second Amendment conveys. No, it doesn't. It doesn't grant. It doesn't allow. It doesn't convey. It doesn't give us the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment simply says people had this right before there was a United States of America. And we're just going to write this down for the future. In case somebody ever comes along and says, we want to take this away from you, we want to state unequivocally that it is not the Constitution that gives you the right to keep and bear arms. These are pre-existing rights, and all we're doing is saying that these rights, this right, shall not be infringed. Constitution didn't give us this right. The Bill of Rights didn't give us this right. This right existed prior to. And all the Bill of Rights did is say, look, there's 10 things we need to make sure everybody understands. Almost as if they're saying, well, we know that you guys get this, but just in case somebody comes along in the future and doesn't quite understand, we're going to spell out 10 rights here that we have before there's a Constitution, before there's a country, so that we can say, you have to keep your hands off. We are reserving these for us, we the people. You, the government, can't touch them. We are staking this ground out and saying you have to stay away from this area. That's what the Bill of Rights was. That's what the Bill of Rights is. Okay? Line 2, Matthew has a range report for us out of Minnesota. Hey, Matthew.
How's it going, sir?
Good. What'd you get? What'd you take out to the range?
LWRC SLM6 223.
Is that the LaRue Tactical?
Yes, sir. This
okay.
one, yep.
What'd you think? How'd it shoot?
I absolutely loved it. It shot great. I did great. I have a direct impingement AR, and I don't know if it was a piston-driven in this one or if it's just that much better built. I absolutely loved it. Got my grouping in. little bit tighter with it, and I'm in love with it. And the best part about the gun is my wife bought it for me.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, yeah, I had called back about a patrol rifle, and this is the one I'm going to use. I called back a couple weeks ago and came home earlier in the week, and she goes, "I have a present for you." And I was like, I knew there was a reason I married you.
No kidding. You better hold on to that woman.
Yes, sir. She's a keeper.
I guess so. I appreciate the report, sir. That sounds like a great rifle and a great wife you got there. Let's see. Scott is on line 3 out of Arkansas. Hey, Scott.
Yes, thanks for taking my call, Tom.
Sure, you bet.
I wanted to ask you if you know anything about the 17 Winchester Super Magnum and the absolute dearth of ammunition availability for it. I held off buying that rifle simply because I couldn't find ammo. Now, I get ammo for all of my handguns, all of my rifles. It doesn't matter what I have. I've got all that I want, all that I need. But that one is really difficult.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of that as being like the Winchester Unicorn. You know, I've heard of it, but I don't know if anybody's ever actually seen it.
Well, I managed to get 3 boxes at a gun shop that he's got ammunition for calibers I've never even heard of. That's just what this guy does. He stocks everything. Doesn't have a lot of it, but he's got everything. Okay. And he told me, he said, "That's the first 3 boxes I got. I can't get any more," and I bought all 3 of them.
Well, what's he telling you?
And I went ahead and bought a rifle.
What's he running into? What's he hearing out there?
He didn't tell me. He just said he can't get any more.
Well, I have gotten probably 3 or 4 dozen emails from people. Same thing. I can't find any Winchester 17 Super Mag ammo. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I don't know how much they're making. The Super Mag, believe it or not, you know the story. It came from a nail gun cartridge.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but that's where it came from. And so it develops higher pressures than the Hornady 17, the HMR. So you get faster velocities, and it sounds like a really good deal, except that if you can't find any ammo, there's not much point in it. So there you go. I don't know, Scott. I guess the bottom line is I just don't know what's going on with that ammo, and I'm not even sure that Winchester can tell us at this point. So yeah, we'll see what I can find out. I'll get the word out. 866-TALK-GUN. Give me a holler. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
Thinking about buying a modern sporting rifle? Well, now's the time with the Cold Spring Fever promotion. Right now, and for a limited time, when you buy any Colt modern sporting rifle, you get a free Colt rifle case from Bulldog. Visit your local gun dealer or go to Colt.com/springfever to get more info. Buy any Colt modern sporting rifle and get a free Colt rifle case from Bulldog. Go to Colt.com/springfever to get more information.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. DurysGuns.com.
You already know Liberty Safes are great values. Now they're offering an even sweeter deal for Gun Talk listeners. At LibertySafe.com, click on the Fat Boy Safe and type in Tom. Liberty will give you up to $250 off your purchase. Protect the things you value most. LibertySafe.com, click the Fat Boy Safe, promo code Tom, save up to $250. That's LibertySafe.com. LibertySafe.com.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. You know you need training, and you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now Gun Talk presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At ShopGunTalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. ShopGunTalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
In today's climate, you always need to be ready. Nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights. Shoot better. Stay safer. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge.
Thanks for being one of the 100 million gun owners in America who support Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Even if you don't want to be on the air, you can still email Tom with your questions or concerns at tom@guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk.
Hey, I appreciate all your help. I appreciate you helping me as much as you can, making those calls. It's kind of a help a gunny out here. I ask you to call your local radio stations and tell them, hey, thanks for running Gun Talk, and you're doing that. We really appreciate it. Keep it up. Just let them know, hey, I listen to Gun Talk, I like it, I appreciate it, and just a big old attaboy. How many times at work do you get somebody who says, thank you, I appreciate what you're doing, attaboy? Not enough. Trust me, people at radio stations don't get it enough. They would like to hear from you, so do that. By the way, I mentioned I had to apologize to people in Florida, and I do. For more than 19 years now that we've been on the air, we've had people calling in. Everybody wants to know about what gun to get for bear protection. Bear protection, bear protection. I want to get a gun for bear protection. And I've laughed and made jokes. So I said, it doesn't matter where you live. Even if you live in Florida, people want a gun for bear protection. Well, I am here to tell you that I officially and truly do apologize. Because we just saw a story that a lady in Florida was dragged out of her garage by a black bear. So, now that we've been successful in reintroducing and expanding bear populations practically everywhere, I guess everywhere is bear country now. So, for all of those times that I said and made fun of people in Florida who wanted a gun for bear protection, I'm sorry, okay? There it is. All right, Lee is in Eastern Washington on 4. Lee, I knew somebody was going to call about this. Let's put it out there and talk about it.
Yes, sir. I don't remember the gentleman's last name. His first name, Clive, is somewhat distinctive, so I did. He's the rancher who's more or less somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, and family been there for about 100 years or so. It's very happy that apparently lots of local people showed up, and they were armed, but there was no confrontation with other government-type agents who truly had no reason to be there, and apparently the BLM has stood down.
Exactly. Here's what's going on. I'm sure people have caught parts of this story. This fellow, his family's been ranching this land for a century. About 21 years ago, the BLM changed its regulations with an eye toward getting rid of all of the ranchers. They want to get rid of open grazing out there. The BLM treats the land as if they personally own it, and rather than it belonging to us. And so they said, well, you're going to have to go from like 900 cows to 100 cows, 150 cows, and they're going to be spread out all over an area as large as Massachusetts. And yeah, of course you can't really run a cattle operation that way, but not our problem. And he basically said, stick in your ear for the last 20 or 21 years. And finally, they decided, well, we're going to put a stop to this guy. So they're going to round up his cattle and take them. But what's it take to round up cattle? Well, in this case, it takes helicopters, trucks, snipers, Rangers, BLM Rangers. Who ever heard of such a thing? BLM Rangers with full tactical gear. Oh, yeah, they'll shoot you with a taser, which they did, so they can round up the cows, blocking the roads. But this guy says, you know what? I'm not intimidated, guys. Do your best. Do your worst. It was the prime example of government overreach. It was the perfect example. And as only Fox covered it for a long time, and then Breitbart covered it, and Fox didn't cover it well, word got out what was going on. Word got out. And people started showing up in support and saying, you know what, this far and no further, no more, no. You're not going to send Rangers in. You're not going to do another Ruby Ridge where you murdered people. Government sniper shot and killed Vicki Weaver. Lon Horiuchi is his name, pulled the trigger on her. U.S. Marshals machine gunned a 14-year-old boy in the back as he was running away, killed him, and for that they got medals and promotions. Waco, when they could have gone up and knocked on the door and said, hey, we want to take a look at those guns. No, they show up with tanks and armored vehicles and, of course, TV crews because they want to show how cool they are with their cool toys. Net result, more than 70 people dead. And so people said, you know what, no more. No more. We're not going to let you do this. And they showed up. And they started showing up from all over the country with organized groups, militias, and they showed up with guns. And the government's going, what? But you can't do that. Oh, yeah, we just started. You haven't seen anything yet. You have not seen anything yet. Jim is in Palmer, Alaska on 2. Hey, Jim, you're on.
Hi, Tom. I want to follow up on that. I guess my question is, does anybody listening to this program believe that the BLM would have backed down if this was a disarmed America?
That's what they call those rhetorical questions, isn't it? Yeah. If people all showed up, it was signs. Oh, I forgot to even mention, don't you love this? People first showed up to protest, and what did the BLM do? They set up a free speech zone. You can stand way over there if you want to protest. But you can't protest here because this is not a free speech area.
Well, and that's why it is my philosophy, and it might be mine alone, but if they ever decide that they're going to go for the guns, they're going to have a fight, because I'm not going to live in that type of society. They can do any damn thing they want if we're disarmed.
You know, and I know that most people, a lot of people say that and wouldn't follow through, but there are enough people who would follow through and who would say, you know what, I'll die right here on this spot. I'll die right here. I will die right here.
Living under the thumbs of Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid for the rest of your life? I don't think so.
Government agencies will kill you for a cow. But here's the thing to understand, and I want everybody to get this. This was not about cows. It never is. And it's not about drugs, and it's not about guns. It's about compliance. They don't want your cows, they don't want your guns, they don't want your drugs, they don't want anything else. They want your compliance. Talk to police officers and they'll say, well, he wasn't compliant, so we shot him. That's what they're looking for. They want your compliance. And when you don't comply, it makes them crazy. Because, of course, they know better, they have the power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I understand that, but what kind of country is it then if everybody's compliant? I mean, if you're compliant, then you give up your guns, and then they definitely got you.
You are exactly right. I'm right there with you. And people say, well, that's the crazies are showing up. Oh, well. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson, John Henry, founders of the country. Crazies. Crazy people. They pledged their lives, their fortunes. And if they had not succeeded, they would have been hung by the neck until dead. They were crazy. They showed up. Patrick Henry, give me life. Give me liberty, or give me, come on. I'll get it right in a minute. It makes me crazy. It makes me crazy, and at the same time, it makes me proud. Thank you. Give me liberty or give me death. Thank you. It makes me crazy, and yet it makes me proud. It makes me proud that there are people who will stand up, who will say, no, I'm sorry, BLM Rangers, snipers, and man, trust me, they had snipers set up. They were there to kill people if they didn't comply. Make no mistake about it. That's what they were there for. But when people started showing up with guns, lots of people, lots of Americans who said, no, no, no. Not going to do it here. This is not going to be another Waco. This is not going to be another Ruby Ridge. You are not going to do that because there are too many of us here now, and we all have cameras, and we do have guns, and we will use both of them if necessary. Does that scare you? It ought to. But it also ought to give you a little sense of pride that there are still people in America who will say, no, you are not going to do this. You are not going to run roughshod over people. You are not going to do this here. Andy, line 4. I want to get down to Andy in Anchorage. Hey, Andy.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this is being adequately reported in the media. I believe the problem is the man has been grazing his cattle on government, the BLM land, which is an allotment. It's a grazing allotment, and then the rancher pays a certain amount a month for the use of that land for each cow. And he's not been paying his allotment fees for close to 20 years, and I think that's the big beef. It's not as though they're kicking him, swiping his cattle off his own land. And
let me ask you a question, Andy. Where'd you get that info?
He used to make a big noise about things, but at least
Andy?
people showed up to make sure that he's getting a fair shake, perhaps.
Yeah, just be careful about where you get your source of information because, of course, he's been grazing on this land, and the rules were changed on him arbitrarily about 21 years ago. And he simply said at that point, I'm not going to go with your rules. I don't agree with them. I don't abide with them, and I won't do this anymore. And so he's been fighting them for 21 years, basically saying, no, I'm not going to pay you for that stuff because they changed the rules 21 years ago. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So, yes, I think everybody understands it's not his land, and it is government land, which is interesting. That means it belongs to you and me, not the BLM. So anyway, I appreciate that. When you heard all this, how did you react? When you heard there were people from militias, which of course have been demonized and given a bad name. Militias are just you and me. We're all members of the militia, of course. You do know that, don't you? Legally, in the Constitution, by law, we're all members of the militia? If they didn't teach you that, you can still learn it. You can educate yourself. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Well, government snipers protecting, what, cows?
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, let's go straight to the phones. Line 3, Tim's with us out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Looking for some ammo there, Tim?
Yes, sir. I've got an Egyptian Hakim. 8 millimeter.
8 millimeter. Hard to find, huh?
Well, yeah, I don't know how to do it. I looked once on the internet. I got it from a friend, and he had been using Turkish ammunition, which is for a bolt-action rifle, which is apparently too hot for the rifle, and it broke the extractor, which I got it fixed.
Okay,
but I don't know how or where to find ammunition for this.
I did a quick look before I got you on here, and I was able to find some over on Gunbroker. Are you familiar with Gunbroker?
I've heard of it. My brother actually told me about that. Okay, it's
gunbroker.com, and it's an auction site, and I see that there are several people have 8 millimeter Hakim ammo available. One guy's got it from, it's Greek military surplus. So I guess Greek would be as good as Turkish if it's the right caliber. So you might try Gunbroker and just see what you can scrounge up there. Apart from that, I don't know, and if maybe somebody can help us out. If you've got a source for 8 millimeter Egyptian Hakim ammo, give us a holler and help Tim out. Tim, keep listening. We'll see if we can get you some info. So, yeah, Old Western Scrounger is also not a bad place to find weird ammo. Not that I'm downgrading or denigrating somebody's ammo, but hey, it's kind of weird. Line 1. Doug is in Toledo, Ohio. Hey, Doug.
Hey, how you doing today? Good show. I liked your comments on the land management, and I just wanted to ask you about rock salt in a shotgun
rock
shell.
Salt. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. My own personal thing. I don't want to kill nobody if I don't got to. But if I live in a decent neighborhood, I've never had any problems. I got a dog, so he's going to warn me. But if I was to get like a shotgun, because I'm thinking I got a lady that lives upstairs, and she wanted to shoot, and she wanted to learn how to shoot, and I wanted to maybe ask you a question about putting rock salt in shotgun shells. I figure you fire off a couple of those, and anybody in their right mind is already going to be gone or running, and that way nobody's dead. You know, but I wondered how...
I've heard... Wait, let me ask you a couple of questions here. First of all, where'd you get the idea of rock salt? I mean, I've seen it mentioned maybe in movies or something, but what's the goal here?
Well, more of a scare off than... and, give them something to remember.
How about,
but I just
if all you want to do is if you just want to make a loud noise, get a horn. A gun's for shooting people.
Yeah.
A gun's not for scaring people.
That is true. I had always thought, I'd put a couple of rounds of rock salt in the front, maybe a couple of rounds of birdshot behind it, and then a couple of slugs. All right. Back
the truck up here. We need to start from the beginning. You are only legal to pull the trigger if you are in fear of your life. If a guy's stealing your TV, that's not good enough. And if you're in fear of your life, it means a guy's running at you with a knife and he's screaming, "I'm going to cut your head off." You want to make a loud noise and scare him off, or do you want to blow a hole in him that you can see through?
Gotcha.
Rock salt, by the way, just so you know, you can absolutely kill somebody with a load of rock salt. Absolutely. You could kill somebody with a blank. It's been done many times. If you point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger... Look, here's the deal. If you point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger, you should assume it's going to kill them. And don't pull the trigger unless you're okay with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not a noise maker. It's not a go away. I'm afraid. I don't want to hurt you. If that's what you want, get a bigger dog, get a horn, get lights. I don't know. Get a funny, scary mask. But don't get a gun. If you got a gun, then get some training and learn what it's about. Because when you point a gun at somebody, the pointing of the gun itself is an assault. And you had darn well better be able to justify it legally. And that means you were in fear for your life, and if that's the case, then you would darn well better have some ammo in it that can stop somebody from killing you. That's what a gun is for. It's to stop somebody from killing you or kidnapping you or raping you. At least that's my take on it. Somebody else may disagree with that. Line 4, Mike is with us out of Idaho. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, howdy. I'm calling about your caller a couple callers ago that was talking about Mr. Bundy not paying his fees.
Yeah, this is the rancher in Nevada, yeah.
Yeah, and I listened to several interviews with him on different stations, and he's been paying his fees to Clark County the whole time he's been there until the BLM came in and said that he had to start paying them. And he said, "No, I'm not going to pay you. I'm paying Clark County." And he also said he has the money to pay his arrears, but he's not paying them to the BLM. He'll pay them to Clark County. And he said if the BLM wants him to pay them, then they have to take him to court and have a judge tell him to pay them.
So they don't want to do that. They would rather send snipers in and helicopters in and trucks in and steal, and I use the word absolutely on purpose, steal his cattle, even because they're in a legal dispute, because they have the power. And at the time, they thought they had all the power. But when they found out they didn't have all the power, and actually they didn't have most of the power, and that when you start talking about armed Americans showing up, that number one, they're going to lose the firepower fight. Number two, they're certainly going to lose the PR fight. They folded their tents and went home. Now, understand, everybody needs to understand, BLM is not done with this. Not by a long shot. It's like saying the ATF went away. They don't ever go away. They just go look for another door to kick in. Maybe his, maybe somebody else's, but they're not done with this. But I appreciate you calling because it makes an excellent point. When I asked, I said, where did you get the information that he's not paying his fees? Because there's been a lot of really, really bad reporting on this story. Amazingly bad, incomplete. So choose your sources carefully. And look, as much as I like Fox, I think Fox gets it wrong about 70% of the time, which makes them better than the 90% of the time CNN gets it wrong. But I don't rely on anything that Fox says these days. They are as much entertainers as they are news people. In fact, more so. So drill down, get your information from the sources, from local sources. Go to local newspapers, local radio stations, local TV stations, and you can get all of that on the internet. You get a local reporter finding out what's going on. You're probably going to get a better source of information, something that's more reliable than national folks who are going to gloss over everything. All right, 866-TALK-GUNS. What was your reaction to this thing in Nevada? Would you go and show up to support somebody you thought was being abused, accosted, threatened by the federal government? Would you show up? Think it's a good idea? 866-TALK-GUN.
Hi, I'm Michael Bain. You know I hate cleaning guns, so anything that makes that job faster and easier is definitely a plus. And that's where Bore Tips come in. These reusable, lint-free cleaning swabs make cleaning a breeze. And the tighter-fitting Bore Tips do a better job on barrels than cotton mops or patches. Hey, it's a dirty job. Let Bore Tips help. To find a dealer, visit boretips.com.
A great trigger can make you a better shooter. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. Installation is easy. Give yourself the Timney Trigger advantage. To see more and order online, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to springfieldarmory.com. That's springfieldarmory.com.
Brownells proudly celebrates 75 years of history and heritage as the world's first choice for firearms, accessories, ammunition, and gunsmithing tools. So whether you're a gunsmith in need of parts and supplies, a new shooter looking for the perfect holster, or a skilled competitor seeking the latest gear, Brownells has what you need. And best of all, every purchase comes with the industry's only forever satisfaction guarantee. Visit us at brownells.com.
Famous radio consultant once said he'd be off the air in a year. Whoops! Defending your Second Amendment rights since 1995 on over 150 radio stations nationwide. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, got a question for you. Is the Magnum dead? It's the Magnum rifle specifically. A lot of interest in lighter, kind of mid-calibers maybe, something in the 25s, 26s, 6.5s, 7 millimeters. A lot of new cartridges there. They don't kick a lot. They shoot really well, even 308s, which is, of course, not new, but just it's kind of a mild caliber, as opposed to a 300 mag, 338 mag, something like that. If you're thinking about getting a rifle, or if you've gotten one in the last 2-3 years, did you go with a Magnum or did you go with a milder caliber? 866-TALK-GUN. I would love to know what you either bought or thinking about buying. 866-TALK-GUN. Line 3, Justin's in Granite City, Illinois, with a concealed carry issue. Hey, Justin.
Hey, I've been trying to figure out. I've applied for my CCW, and I'm trying to figure out my rig. I've had my non-resident for other states, and I've carried in other states a couple times. And, you know, being a newbie to it, I just felt what was going on was normal. But I've listened to you for a while now, and I've heard you talk about this from other people. And I'm trying to really get my rig figured out because it's come to my state now, right. And I want to make sure that I do the best job I can. Okay. I've gone between carrying the 3-inch end frame. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", about 315. I can hide it well. I've tried that, and I can also carry a full-size 1911 inside the waistband, and nobody can tell. Even my wife can tell I had it on me. Okay. But I've been having some big issues with my pants one sag, and I'm not wearing a dress belt. I've got a good, I think it's 1.5 inches or 1 3/4. It's a real leather belt. But I'm just trying to get this figured out. You know, so I just want to see what you thought.
What kind of holster?
Well, it's made by Concealment Solutions. It's an inside the waistband, the hybrid type. And I've tried other ones. I've tried Galco, and some of my buddies have other brands. You know, the random off-the-shelf type. Right. And compared to the others, this one seems to be built very well, and it's for the 1911. But I'm still having this issue.
I think I know what may be going on here. Are you carrying straight on the hip point or right behind the hip?
Well, it's kind of about 3:34 o'clock. Basically the top of the slide is running right down the side seam of my jeans.
Okay, you might want to move it back about 1 inch. That's going to be my first thought, back towards your back. But the other is, I'm going to go back to the belt. You say it's a leather belt, it's 1.5 inches wide. None of that matters if it's not a gun belt. If you didn't buy it from a gun belt company, it's not a gun belt.
Okay.
It's just it's a dress belt that's just fat or wide or something. It's thin. It's not stiff. Here's how you know. Put your holster on the belt without putting the belt on. Put your gun in the holster. So you got this heavy rig. Now hold your belt out on either side of the holster. Will the gun stay upright or will it turn turtle and flip over? Because if it's regular belt, it's going to flip right over. Don't do this with a loaded gun, by the way, because it's liable to fall on the floor. If it's a gun belt, it will stay upright. It should be that stiff. And when you finally get a good gun belt, and it could be made, it can be a double layer fabric nylon. What's the one I just got? A&G, I think it was. Tried that one. That was a very good belt. The folks at Crossbreed Holsters make good belts. But, I mean, you should expect to spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $70, $80 for a good gun belt, for a good leather gun belt. You will be amazed at what a difference that will make. It will probably, honestly, truly, it will probably solve your issue right there.
Okay.
And, as far as the waist, the size of the pants, generally about 1 inch bigger than you would normally wear. It's good for inside the waistband. But look, if it'll go in there, it's fine. Cinch that sucker down and cinch it tight with that belt. You don't want it to move slightly. You want to feel like you got a girdle on. I mean, that thing should be tight because you want that gun to be right where it is. Here's the thing. Your rig, everything about it, you should be able to put it on, gun, belt, mag holder, magazine, everything, and then roll around on the floor, do a cartwheel, do a somersault, and then look down on the floor. Anything that's laying on the floor is stuff you're not going to have in a gunfight. It will be gone because you're probably going to end up on the floor. So if your rig lets go of things, whether it's your mag holder, your holster, your belt, and if it's slipping around and your gun's not where it was when you started all of that because it's moved on your belt or it's sagged or something, you need a new rig. Yeah, because it's called gun fighting. The operative word here is fight. And that's what you're in. You're in a fight for your life. And somebody's got to hit you and knock you down and roll you around and no telling what's going to happen. So rig up as though your life depends on it because, of course, it does. I'm telling you, people, it's the unsung hero of the whole concealed carry movement is a good gun belt. If it's not stiff, it's not a gun belt. If it's not a gun belt, you don't want it.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
All right, back with you. Let's start way down on line 1. Ray is in Minden, Nevada. Hello, Ray.
Hi, Tom. I thought you'd like to know another reason why the BLM and the National Park Service Rangers wanted Bundy out of there is because there's a protected tortoise there that the environmental groups were complaining about.
Right.
And if you want some more information about it, we have a gun group here in Nevada that's called Nevada Shooters.
Mm-hmm.
It's nevadashooters.com. We're a lot like Cal Guns, but we're a lot smaller. And there's a lot of information on there about what's happening down there, and the Bundy family gives us updates. And you can even see a picture of Bundy's son. He was roughed up by the Rangers, beat up pretty good.
Yep.
And just for your knowledge, and so people won't be getting all these tangents of all these weird stories that aren't true. You can actually hear from the people that are there.
I'm just going to ask you, because you're a lot closer to it, and I always feel like the closer you get to the source, the better the information you get. When you are watching national media, how far off is it from what you're hearing locally as far as information and facts?
Well, actually, the only national media that I really read is the Drudge Report, because I think the other national media outlets are pretty biased. But our governor was outraged by this, Governor Sandoval, and one of our senators, Dean Heller, was outraged by this. But Harry Reid was silent about the whole thing.
There's a whole nother thing going on with Harry Reid that InfoWars is talking about now. I'm not sure if it's true. They're talking about working with the Chinese at a solar plant and some other things there. So, with Alex Jones, I want to believe his stuff, but I'm never quite sure at InfoWars whether to buy into some of that. But yeah, I don't guess you're going to expect to see Harry Reid helping you out on this one. Well, let me ask you this: did the folks at Nevada Shooters, did any of them show up?
Yes, a bunch of them did show up, and they were carrying too, and they were telling everybody to disarm, and a lot of them didn't, obey it.
So the BLM is telling them to disarm.
Exactly.
Tell them to stick it in their ear.
That's basically what they did.
Good.
But they did taser a couple people too. But probably because they were getting loud,
Oh, yeah, that's right. We wouldn't want free speech. Well, they had a free speech zone set up over on the other side of the county, so you could go over there if you wanted to exercise free speech. And here's the thing for people that don't quite get it. They don't get to set up free speech zones. We have free speech in the United States of America wherever we are. And tasering somebody? There's a real interesting thing going on there. If you want to find out look up what would happen if you tasered a police officer. He or she would be legally justified in killing you. Yeah, I think maybe they miscalculated. And I think maybe they're going to continue to miscalculate, because I think the response has changed. Unless they shut down the internet, we're all going to be connected, and we're going to hear about this stuff, and we're going to talk to each other, and then we're going to show up, and we're going to support each other, and we're not going to let them do what they did to Randy Weaver and his family, and we're not going to let them do what they did to others, so many others. And they do it because, why? It's like that old line, why is a bully a bully? Because he can be. And they are until somebody stops them. In the schoolyard, you punch them in the nose. In this case, you simply show up and say, no, we have cameras, we have guns, and we're here. Now what are you going to do? At least in this case, they backed off. When we come back, we'll talk about the designer of the new commemorative Ruger rifle.
In most listening areas, there's one more hour of gun talk coming your way. Then stick around for the after show. After a short break, Tom will be right back with more gun talk. Keep it here on this great radio station.